Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Hemmings Hot Rod BBQ. I am Mike Musto with...
I'm Mike Musto. No, I'm Dan Stoner.
If you were Mike Musto, you would have hair on your face, not on your head.
I'd be turned upside down. I would be upside down.
Correct.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Either way, we're going to try something like that one day just to confuse the audience a little bit.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, I think we're going to do that.
Yeah.
So this episode is kind of a fun one. Before we get into it, what I want to do is we are going to go immediately into our what we found on the Hemmings Classified, but then we have a very special guest. That's right. By the name of Matt Farah of the Smoking Tire podcast, the TSD video series, Westside Collector Car Storage, which is the premier storage facility in Los Angeles. He's going to tell us how that came to fruition. But we also want to say, if you have questions for the podcast, and I know we're throwing this out early, make sure you email questions to hotrodbbq@hemmings.com. That's hotrodbbq@hemmings.com. And that anything you want us to talk about, things you want to hear on the podcast, make sure you let us know. We'll make sure to address it and talk to you about it, because that's what guys like us do.
And when he says things, what we mean is anything. Like, don't think it's just got to be about a car or a truck or, hey, look, we cannot live by cars and trucks alone, or boats or motorcycles. So just make it anything. We're down.
We'll talk about food. We like food.
Right. That's right. It is a hot rod barbecue after all.
That's right. You like booze? We like booze. Dan like booze.
Yeah. That's true.
Right.
That's true.
You want to talk about fashion? Well, Dan likes fashion. I don't know anything about fashion.
I mean, I got a nice t-shirt collection. I mean, come on. Yeah. I spent a lot of time and money on it. Yeah.
My man is stylish. All right. So let's jump in. Last time I picked a car from the Hemmings Classifieds, which, if you don't already know, 20,000 classified, largest classified section online for Hemmings.com. Go and check it out. This week it was Dan's turn to pick the car, and my God, did he pick a winner.
Look, this thing, I will say the first thing, and I know, Mike, you do this as well. You jump into the site, the Hemmings, whether it's Hemmings.com or maybe you go out and find yourself a 600-page phone book of Hemmings motor news. Either way, you can get lost pretty easily. You can go down a rabbit hole, and you could be clean shaven when you start, and you look like Mike or me by the end of it, and you have no idea where the time went. Right. Right. And that's typically what we do anyway. I mean, this is one of those jobs that we have where we're like, hey, we can't believe we actually get paid to do this. Right. But digging through these classifieds can be a little daunting sometimes, because it gets to the point where you start to go a little snowblind after all the coolness it hits you right over the course of that. But we found a 1972 Dodge Monaco Wagon. Now,
say it with me, Monaco.
Monaco Wagon with the rich Corinthian leather. Look, they don't kill paneling. They don't kill Corinthians like they used to. I mean, it used to be like there was just like a Corinthian slaughterhouse from like 70 to 77, somewhere hidden away at the Chrysler headquarters. But they don't do that anymore, right? So, this thing has gotten an original Corinthian leather interior. So, let's take that for what it's worth. And also, the great thing about this car is that it is untouched since 1972, which means it's got this sort of taupey I don't know what the actual color is called, but it's kind of like a taupey beige, base, and a true 1972 original vinyl wood grain paneling siding running down the sides. And typical for Dodge in those years, they got creative with the wood grain paneling, where the paneling runs up along the back. Do you even call that a C-pillar on a wagon? I'm not even sure. The rear sill,
Sure, let's call it that.
Panel on the back. Yeah.
Yep.
It runs up along that in that early 70s style. It's got its original, 4 wheel covers, full dish wheel covers.
Yep.
The thing is great. And I will say, with that 440 in the front, and you put a full frame, trailer hitch receiver in the back. You could be pulling your perfectly restored Sox and Martin, Dart drag car to whatever car show you want and be period correct. The thing would look amazing. It really is. Like I pictured this thing with a couple drag slicks on the roof, on that luggage, the luggage rack on the roof.
Set of slots, maybe.
Set of slots. I would say a set of slots all the way around, aluminum,
Yeah.
maybe they're appliance or maybe they're ETs, whatever they are. Then I would also say that it's got to have just the right era correct water slide decals in that rear window from all the vintage, race car shops and speed shops and tire makers and stuff like that from the era. Wouldn't that be cool?
Well, absolutely. Well, the other part I love about this wagon is, they in 72, it was kind of like that transition from kind of like the big hot rods to the kind of smog laden stuff. So the fact that this has, still a pretty decent and potent 440 under the hood, mind you, hideaway headlights, hideaway headlights. Okay. It's got AC, power windows, power seats. We'll post a link to this thing and I'm hoping it's still there, but it is. And plus the other cool part is the front bumper is all steel and it takes up 3/4 of the front of the wagon. It's just, I mean,
I'm glad you mentioned the bumpers too, Mike, because this is like what we like to call the pre-safety bumper era, right? This was before 73, 74, 75, when the safety bumpers that were required by, the U.S. Transportation Department got really big. They had like that cushion that was covered in weird rubber.
Diving boards,
Yeah, right. And that weird rubber that starts to leak juice after 40 years, some weird stuff. This is all pre that, right? So it's still got the right look to it.
It does. And the other thing is this thing has got to weigh, I guarantee you this sucker weighs 6,000 pounds. I guarantee you this weighs as much as a full-size F-150 could tow, just as much. The difference is if you hit something with this, you'll never go right through it.
Yeah, you'll never know it. Yeah. Pity the other guy. Right. Pity the other thing that you actually run into. Mike, all for well under 10 grand. I mean, this guy, the seller of this thing, I think is if I looked in the listing correctly, I think he reduced the price. I want to say this thing is under 9 grand, under 8 grand.
Yeah, he wants 79.90 for it.
Is that what it is? Yeah.
Yeah, 79.90, which, as everybody knows, everything is negotiable. Right. It even says price 79.9 negotiable. Yeah. But yeah, this is the type of stuff that Dan and I always love. And it's interesting because a lot of times Dan's taste won't coincide with my taste. This one, I would drive this. My wife would see it and she would instantly yell at me because she knows that it's a total grandpa car, which I absolutely love. Right. Me too.
This thing's this thing's the UN of old cars. Like everyone is welcome. Hell, you could fit the entire UN in the back of it, but everyone is welcome. Everyone's equally represented here in this wagon, right?
Yeah.
It's got something for everybody. You can't hate that car.
No, this was on point, Dan. This was a great find, buddy.
I'm glad.
Great find. So I love it. So with that said, we're going to take a quick break, come back with Mr. Matthew Farah, Matt for short, right, of TST. And we'll be talking to him in a moment.
I just thought of something, man. Do you know who actually has more parts for sale than even Hemmings? And when I say more parts, I mean millions of parts. Do you know
are you alluding to somebody else has more parts than us? Are we talking like millions of parts from maybe over 1,500 different manufacturers?
Yeah, and not just over 1,500 manufacturers, but parts for things like performance cars and hot rods and racing and even restoration parts. Restoration parts, Michael.
Are we talking about parts? So they have stuff for paint, body supplies, and they also have like tools that I can use to paint my car?
Tools. Okay, now we're getting close, and I'm gonna give you one last clue. Fast and free shipping on anything over $99 orders.
That's got to telling me.
That's got to.
You're telling me all I have to do is spend a mere $99 to get my stuff to almost anywhere in the continental United States, and on top of that, I will get top-notch service? Is that what you're saying?
I mean, yes to all of those things. All of the above is one big giant fat yes. Do you guess? I want you to take one guess who this might be. Man. Who are we talking about?
I mean, I've used companies in the past, and many of those companies have never, ever lived up to what we just talked about.
It's rare. You'll never find another one. Who might that be?
Let me ask you one more thing.
Okay, one more.
If I am not 100% satisfied with these products, the prices, and the services, will I get my money back, Dan? Will I?
you will get your money back before you even send them an email or place a slightly angry phone call. The money's already there.
It's already there?
When you just think that you might want to return something.
Well, you know what? I'm going to take a guess. And even though that last part might not be 100% correct, but it's pretty close to correct.
Right.
I'm going to go with Summit Racing.
Oh, it's like you read my mind.
It's crazy, right?
It's like you read my mind. I barely had to say anything, and you knew it was Summit.
It came to me.
Summit.
I knew this.
That's right. Summit Racing, 1,500 plus manufacturers, millions of parts, free shipping over $99. And on top of that, Mike, I'm going to blow your mind with this one. Their absolute 100% handshake guarantee. You know what that means?
Wow.
Okay, what that means. Sit down for this.
I got it. I'm
is that if you're not 100% happy with anything that they do for you and vice versa, money back guarantee.
Why would you go anywhere else?
You do not go anywhere else. That's the whole thing about Summit. They are built to not go anywhere else. Once you enter the Summit universe, you never have to leave. Just bring a blanket, bring a lunch, and never leave. That's what Summit Racing is all about. It's summitracing.com. You go, you thank us for sending you there, and you send us some free stuff after you place your order. Because here's the last thing, Mike. All you have to do, I kid you not, just think about Summit and your parts show up. That's how fast this stuff gets to you.
This is what I've been dreaming about my whole life.
I'm worn out. Out. Okay.
Long day.
I guess we better get back to the show.
Yeah, we get back to the show. Hey guys, so we're back, and I have to welcome one of my a super dear friend, somebody that I've known for a long time, that we kind of came up in this industry together, and Matt kind of changed it for the better. Mr. Matt Farah, host and creator of the Smoking Tire video series, host and creator of the Smoking Tire podcast, the creator of Westside Collector Car Storage Facility, which is now the premier storage facility, not only in Los Angeles, but in the United States as a whole. You hear that, Matt? How big I'm throwing that out?
Wow. That's so nice. I asked you to sell it, and you really did.
Dude,
wow.
Threw it out there.
You really sold it. That was great. Yeah, thanks. Is
that a cash register I just heard?
Cha-ching.
Okay, so Matt, that
was an intro, Mike. That was an intro. I appreciate it, brother.
Listen, I've been there. I have seen storage facilities around the United States, as have you. So I know what a good one entails, and I know that you've done all the research there is to basically solve every problem that guys like you and I have when we go into one and go, well, why did they think of this? And why did they think of that?
Yeah, it's not every problem. Like it's hi and thank you. But it's not every problem. I have solved the problems in my neighborhood, right? If I put another one of these in another neighborhood, I would hope that I could solve their problems. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And so this facility that we're in right now, where my office is, at Westside Collector Car Storage, is specific to this area. And so I didn't invent the concept by any means of collector car storage. In fact, directly inspired by Collector's Car Garage in Bedford, where we used to go back in the day. I didn't invent the concept. I'm just, I think, the first person to be able to fight my way through the city of Los Angeles and to put one here because what I didn't set out to do this craziness that's behind me in this room. That wasn't the point. It really spiraled well out of control.
And speaking of which, Matt, I want to know, like, the two things after going to your website and looking at and just looking at and spending some time with that latest video put up. The two things that seem really interesting to me when it comes to LA, like, because car storage facilities, I get the concept, right? And I can see what you're doing there. The ramp of the driveway and those God blessed planter boxes. What the hell?
So the ramp was intentional. It's like the ramp the problem in LA is that we don't have a lot of the traditional like underground sewers. Instead, what they do is they crown the road. So for the 5 times that it rains a year, the water just runs down the street. Okay. And if you have a normal height car, who cares? It's fine. But you typically have, because of that, you have to drive into ditches and over crests all over the place to get, especially to get into driveways in the beach cities like in Playa del Rey, Manhattan Beach, or in Westchester. You have driveways that are on hills, and it's a real inconvenience. Like when I moved to LA, I lived in Hermosa Beach. I lived on a hill. I had to literally, like, to get my Corvette out of my garage, like assemble this ridiculous, like,
I remember that
ramp look. Yeah. It's like a 25-minute process. I'm dripping sweat by the time I do it. It's absurd. And so given the choice, you know, I had to build from scratch. It's not like I adapted an existing facility. We built from scratch. So given the choice to build from scratch, there were certain things that we had to do that were requirements, because LA has fires and LA has earthquakes, and we're filling one sealed airspace with 90 plus cars. And so there's regulations for something like that. Well, that there weren't. There are now, because I paid to write them. And we had to do a lot of, like, you know, the property is very expensive here. So it doesn't make any sense to do it unless you can go as vertical as you can go within reason. And so that's how we ended up on quad stackers. But there's another rule here, because my property is only 12,000 square feet. In LA, you have to have 2 street accessible parking spaces for every 1,000 square feet of commercial. So I had to have 24 air quotes saying street accessible parking spaces. The basement actually counts, because
does it really?
Yes, because you can drive down a ramp very easily, and that counts as street accessible. It doesn't mean I have to keep it open for the public. It just means that it has to be there. So I'm renting that out. Those are a separate spot that I'm renting out for people who are going in and out very frequently. That's a good place to be, because it's easy to get in and out. The racks behind me don't count towards that requirement, which sounds dumb, but the science is there, because in theory, if I stripped out the racks and sold them and turned this building into an office building, you'd need that parking lot, and it's underground. Right? So that's the idea. So the racks are to fund the property, you know, going vertical. The underground satisfies, but now you have to do something no one's ever done, which is 18 quad racks over a basement on the San Andreas Fault.
Sounds awesome. That sounds awesome.
So, you know, we had, and it's Playa Vista, so we've got a high water table. You've got methane. Oh, you guys will love this. You guys will love this. You want some crazy construction nerdery that'll really get you guys going? Check this out.
Absolutely.
So my foundation is a 3-foot pour under the basement. It's a 36-inch pour, double rebar, the number 18 rebar, right? But you have to have a methane barrier, because the methane is horrible here, right? And you have to, it'll seep into your building, or you'll die, right? So if you pour a foundation, you have to put a methane barrier. So a methane barrier,
like cow farts.
Yeah, exactly. But but bubbling up from the earth, because
like underground cow farts coming up.
Yes. Okay. And so, there's other things too. Vinyl chloride was a chemical that Howard Hughes leaked into the ground for 40 years. So there's that. But so you roll out this thick rubber stuff. It's like a rubber tarp, a giant rubber tarp, the biggest rubber tarp you've ever seen. But it's rolled out in sheets, kind of like wallpaper. Okay.
Yeah.
Then they come in with a tanker truck of Flex Seal. Like,
seriously?
Flex Seal. Flex Seal, like screen door on a rowboat, Flex Seal. Brand name. The same stuff. Like, not even like, oh, it's now we joke and call it
off-brand.
No, it's Flex Seal. And they sprayed 1,000 gallons of Flex Seal on this, a whole giant truck of this stuff.
God.
Then they pour. Then we dropped 160 concrete trucks. 110 of them we did in 12 hours. So we had to shut down the street, bro. We had trucks going like a half a mile.
So was this like like Die Hard 2 when all the cement trucks were rolling through? Is that what?
Great big dump trucks?
Yeah,
That's Die Hard 3, brother.
it's Die Hard 3. I
3.
apologize.
Yeah.
They don't allow trucks on the FDR, John.
How much
I
of
know my
this?
Die Hard.
Well, so when you were doing this, and like I followed it obviously from concept to reality. How many of these issues did you think you were going to encounter? And did the city of LA, were you constantly like looking at LA and just being like, are you kidding me with this? Like, I got this now?
Makes sense. Some of it makes sense, and some of it is really dumb.
Like the catwalks only for the firemen that you're not allowed to be on.
Yeah, and that one actually got even worse because when the final inspector came in and saw the catwalks, he was like, "Oh man, you got had. Like somebody at the permit office hosed you. Yeah, like my guys are never going up that. We're going in through the window." I'm like, "Yeah, like we said 10 months ago." Yeah,
Matt. The only thing I
had to build the catwalks actually, it's that the catwalks accumulatively took away the space of 3 stackers, so I could have had 21 and I have 18. That's really the tragedy of those catwalks, not that I had to pay for some extra steel and welding.
Well, you know what you're going to have to do? You're to make up the difference. You're just going to have to rent the whole place out as the set for Backdraft 17. You know, like that's how that's going to work.
Yeah,
you know?
My insurance company love that.
Yeah, I think Matt, when you did the stackers, so because those are one-offs, right? Those have never been.
No. Well. No,
like explain that process.
Not so.
Okay,
that's those stackers are built by a company called Park Plus. They're here in LA. They're good folks. They're built here in Los Angeles. So they make 2 versions of this quad. One version people have likely seen in New York City by the Javits Center when they do the auto shows and all over the village. They have them in places where there's tight parking and they run them outdoors, 4 seasons, 365,
24/7,
on the fly. So you show up your ticket and they're up and down.
Yeah.
So they've never been put indoors before, but those in New York, that's the QP 1000, right? Okay. I have the QP 1000H. The H is for heavy. And what that means is it's the California version. So the steel is twice as thick. It's American steel. It's not Chinese steel. Okay. And it has to be built by LA certified welders who are watched by deputy inspectors the entire time. So
now is this because of earthquakes and things like that?
Yes.
Earthquake. Seismic, right?
Yes. That's for seismic. Now that's just the H. That's just to have the quad. Now you want to put the quad indoors. Now it's a whole other thing. Because now you've got to sprinkler them. So I don't really think you can actually see it. You might
each level has a sprinkler, right?
Every tray has 4 sprinklers, all 4 corners, all the way up. So
you've got to be kidding.
Yeah, the whole rack is I
mean, that's amazing because God forbid if something happens. That's
I've never even heard of that. It's that one, I mean, that one's pretty gnarly. So our fire system is 3,000 gallons a minute. It's pretty gnarly. That's cool. That's pretty crazy. And then we put battery tenders on them. So no one's ever done that before either.
Okay.
So, and then no one's ever put them over a basement anywhere in the world. So we have a lot of engineering firsts in this building, which was, I'm a first time building.
Yeah.
I was like, maybe just
go for it.
Way to jump in with both feet. I mean, like,
but ultimately, what we ended up with, almost every hurdle that we had to jump for the city. Yeah, almost all of them I was able to somehow spin into a benefit for the members. The strength of the lifts, the fire stuff.
Yes.
We recycle all of our water. All the ramp stuff. The city made me repave an entire street, which is super annoying and terrible. But now anyone who drives into my rear driveway gets to drive in a brand new street. So that's nice.
Hey, for California, that's saying something.
That's how LA works. When they want public works done, they wait until a private business owner is there, and then they say, "Well, you want to cut into the sidewalk? You have to bring the sidewalk up to the current code." So I in case you're wondering, yes, I did have to also build a sidewalk.
So
but
how many things that you wanted to do, like if you called the permit office or if you called the builder and you were like, yeah, we're going to do this, they're like, you want to do what?
no,
Like,
it
were
wasn't
there
really
any
like
of those
that.
moments or not that bad?
It wasn't really like that. The things I couldn't that I couldn't do were I probably could have done if I had like unlimited money. Like for instance, the window behind me, the window in this entire wall and every wall that separates quote living space from warehouse space is a 2-hour fire rated wall. So it has to burn in there for 2 hours and not come through. So there's 8 layers of drywall and plywood. And then I don't know if you can this may or may not come through the mic, but like I don't know if you can hear
thick.
It's like
that's thick as hell.
Glass. Yeah, it's like bulletproof bank glass, basically. I don't know if it really is bulletproof, but it's I mean it's extraordinarily expensive, and I really, of course, you want to have windows looking in, like you have the best view.
Like
ever.
why wouldn't you ever?
Why would you not? But so the only thing that really I wanted to do, and they were like, and it was like, oh, it was like a joke, was Eli Kogan's place, Otto in Scottsdale. You ever been out there?
Yeah.
It's beautiful. I mean, it's a beautiful facility. And Arizona does not have the rules that we have. So he has this giant glass wall.
Of course.
It's enormous. And I went to his opening and I took pictures of the giant glass wall. And I said to my guys, like, price this. And he was like, you know how much these panes cost. And I was like, price the full glass.
Yeah.
And it was to do a full glass wall was $3 million.
Oh God. Jesus.
And I was like, yep.
That's out.
I mean, other things we really couldn't do. I couldn't put double stackers underground. There wasn't the height clearance for that. I couldn't make one of the robot puzzle systems work. That doesn't work because those require some use of the underground, and I need the basement for the reasons I explained earlier. No, I mean, and look, in a perfect world, I understand that there's people for whom stackers are a deal breaker like that. I totally get that.
Sure.
Like, I do. And I totally get that there's people for whom the necessity of a valet attendant is also a deal breaker, even if it is one personally trained by me and the best valet manager probably in Los Angeles, if not California, Eric Vargas, who's my GM. I understand that is a deal breaker. The bottom line is, if I could have bought a car dealership and put the entire property under a roof and have everything be on one level and meet the codes that are required for the city and all that shit, like I would have done that. Like stacking cars vertically 4 high looks amazing, but like it's clearly not my first choice. It's not the most convenient option. For the user. Although I've tried to make it as convenient as I can with an app where you can request your car ahead of time. I have certain spaces in the building where your car never has to be moved at all by the attendants. Like if that's your thing, like that's fine. I've tried to address every person's possible neuroses.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, I like how you even said in that one thing, you even said, look, you get on the app, you request your car, 6 minutes. Like with my training, if it's on the top, it's probably 10 right now. We're working on it. We're gonna get it quicker. Right now, we're working on the reality of the training processes. But the bottom line is, if you hit the button when you leave your house, by the time you get here, your car is there. Yeah. And obviously, I don't know why it is. I don't know why it is, but everyone I give like a tour to is like, but what if my car's on top? And I go, you gotta understand something. I was going to ask that actually.
Top is good.
Top costs extra. I charge extra for the top. The top means your car can't be touched by anyone or anything, and your car never has to be moved to get the cars out from underneath, right? So it means that it takes maybe 20 minutes to get your car out instead of 5 or 10.
Right.
But it never has to be moved. So you're not, no one ends up on the top accidentally. That's not
right.
And if you're the kind of person who's going to show up and take your car, like if after a month we learn that you're the show up person,
you're not on top.
You guess what? Your car lives on the floor. Your car lives right next to the front door.
Right.
We're a very low volume facility. The truth is, like, I have some customers right now. Like, I don't I don't necessarily want to say who they are. They're
Sure.
not celebrities or anything. They're just car people.
Yeah.
And I've got, I don't know, 25 cars in the building right now. One of them goes out with any kind of regularity. You know, a bunch of the cars I've got in the building right now are, you know, fairly run-of-the-mill nice enthusiast cars where people bugged out of town for COVID and, you know, are at their vacation house somewhere. And, you know, we're not going to see them for a minute, you know, and you know, it's a pretty low turnover facility. I think that people are really concerned in general with their cars being shuffled a lot more than the reality would actually dictate they will be. Yeah.
Matt, what's the paint a picture of the type of person who's going to come to you? Like, who is this person?
Yeah. Well, we're optimized.
Who are these people coming to you?
We are really well optimized for a certain type of customer, a couple different types of customers. One is the local Venice, Marina, Playa, beach cities person who just has too many cars and not enough space. Right in this area, there's beautiful homes where I live in Venice Beach. Beautiful, these townhomes, right? It's like all townhomes. No one has a driveway, really. No one has more than a 2-car garage unless you're a super boss, right? And if anyone wants to have a fun car, there just typically isn't the space for that. So we are in this, we're where we are to serve that community and to serve people selfishly. Me, I live in that community. Me and people like me, right?
You and your friends,
Well, not my friends, but just, I mean, I see
enthusiasts.
People driving old cars and sports cars around Venice and all the time.
Yeah.
They
where do they put them?
Yeah, I know a bunch of people who are getting spots here just so they can buy more cars. You know what I mean? Finally, I've got more cars.
That would be me. That would be me.
Then we've got a pretty high percentage of folks who do not live in LA, but come to LA regularly for work or pleasure or whatever. And if you've got a bunch of cars in New Jersey or wherever you live, you know, odds are you can't drive all 10 of your cars in New Jersey. But if you go to LA a couple times a year, 3-4 times a year, you'd probably use the car more if you used it just while you came here, but you use it as a car. You know what I mean? As opposed to your one weekend loop and then you put it away kind of thing. And I've got a bunch of folks who has sent me usable sports cars. And they use them when they come to town, and we're 2 miles from LAX, and we have free airport pickup. So we'll pick you up, we'll bring you right here. You hang out in the lounge, you grab your car. You know, it's a white glove service, and then you return your car. You come back, you know, with a couple clicks on the app, your car's washed, it's full of gas. If you do it a couple times a year, you know, depending on where you're going, you know, and you could save $50 or $75 each way on the Ubers. You know, depending on where you're going, because we're so close anyway. So there's a lot of value if you live out of town and you come here with any kind of regularity and you want to drive your own car while you're here, and you want to know that your car is looked after by people who appreciate it, you know, as a special car, not just a regular kind of parking lot.
Well, so that's a question. So what are you finding you're getting? So are you getting, because I know some garages will, or some storage facilities will cater to primarily classics. Are you kind of running the gamut between classic car storage, high-end sports car drivers? Is there stuff like that?
It's all over the place.
It's
all over the place. And it's not, and you would think that based on the facility and based on the quality of everything we've done here and the price point, which is premium but not crazy, I would expect more of the supercars and higher end supercars, when in reality we've only got a couple of those, and we've got a surprising number of cars that if you were to look at them objectively, just at their objective monetary value, maybe it wouldn't necessarily justify keeping them in such a facility at such a price, but their owners want the best for these cars. They have emotional attachments to them for a variety of reasons, and so it's worth it. Yeah, it's worth it for them. And so I've made a real point to, in the training of my staff and all that kind of stuff, that every car is special to their owner, and we're not going to favor this car or take a better care of this car specifically because it's a high value car. And obviously certain cars, vintage stuff, it requires certain specialized care, but we treat, if it's just a 20-year-old BMW or whatever it is, just a run of the mill 911, late model 911 or whatever it has, whatever it is, that car is going to be special to that owner to justify keeping it somewhere here, and not necessarily for a financial investment type of reason.
Now, as far as ancillary services, so say if I, like detailing,
it's the basics. Yeah, we do the basics.
Yeah,
we don't do mechanical work here. We're not zoned for it, and we don't want to. We do detailing, we do fueling. We check your tire pressures when it goes in and out. We have
so basic stuff.
Yeah, we've got 2 level 2 EV charging stations. So if you leave your EV daily driver behind, when you take out your sports car, you're going to find it with more juice in it than when you left it, which is good. And we have the capacity to store EVs long term as well. And every space comes with a battery tender. We're sponsored by Optima. So Optima gave us 150 digital 400 battery tenders, which is great because it's, I swear I'm not saying this because they gave them to us. I asked them for them because I think that's like my favorite tender. I've been using it for a really long time, and I've had really good luck with them. And so I went out and asked for them, and I didn't get any money or anything, but they were nice enough to give me some tenders. And so that was very cool of them. And I got hooked up with these cabinets, these Moduline cabinets that
they're so good.
They're super
so
slick.
Good.
Yeah, they're really nice, and they gave me a little discount on that. But they matched my blue, and so it's exciting. It's exciting to have a place. But
I want to hear about the amenities. I want to hear about like what's like the club elements of this thing, right? Like I've heard about there's like a whiskey bar of some sort.
Well, we don't have a liquor license, so you can't. It's definitely not a whiskey bar.
Oh God. Sorry,
I got no liquor license.
That's just my house, I guess.
The thing is with these type of facilities, I think there's really 2 type of these facilities. There's time wasting facilities and there's time saving facilities, and places like the Motoring Club in Marina Del Rey up the street right here, and the shop in Seattle. Those are time wasting places. You go there to do work, to have coffee or to have to drink with your friends or whatever. It's a social club that has some sort. In case of the shop, they have a full bar and a restaurant in that place. It's wild. It's very cool. I'm a time-saving place. So primarily we really help serve, and we've developed processes to serve very busy people. In LA, if you're the kind of person who's going to have 4 or 5 cars, you're probably busy. I mean, probably, or you have absolutely nothing to do.
It's one or the other.
Right.
One or the other.
In my experience so far, it's been very busy people. And so we take the headaches out of owning the car. So you just show up, you grab it, and you go. We have a members lounge. It's not huge. We've got private wine and whiskey lockers. We've got a cigar deck outside. We have a humidor on the way. I mean, it's cool. It's not the best sound, but we'll go on a little tour, okay?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Here's my photo wall in my office. Yeah, I hung that. One of the only things I'm actually trained to do is hang a gallery. I was a fine arts major in college. Anything else in my career, I kind of figured out, but I can hang the shit out of a gallery. And then right outside my office window is my Porsche.
There you go. See, that's nice. You look out the window and see your baby.
My Porsche's on the third. It's on the 3rd floor.
Yep. Now, Matt, do you have catwalks that you could walk all around that?
No, so there's a catwalk there, but I can't get out this window.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I had to put a ladder from below or something.
Okay.
So here we have the lobby, elevator lobby,
Very
down
nice.
Mexico blue portion. I got the Larry Chen Countach on the wall there. I really wanted a bookshelf that wrapped around two corners and looked like a toge road. So we designed, that's a custom fabbed bookshelf. And then I'm walking backwards. This is gonna be weird. We got the Tristan Eaton Fenway Park Pearl Jam originals. And then we're going into the bar.
Lounge area.
The lounge, gender neutral.
Beautiful.
Lounge.
And then here we have the lounge. We've got a Bentley W12 coffee table here.
Well done.
Which is pretty cool.
Nice.
Oh, wow. That came out gorgeous.
Didn't that come out nice?
It came out really beautiful.
I got that from England. That's chrome.
Okay. As it should be.
The 18 members wine and whiskey lockers. So the private lockers there.
Yeah.
And then out here is a cigar deck. Still need a little more furniture, but we're doing it.
Okay.
And then this way, you've got the big screen.
Yep.
And then the view.
Very cool.
Very
cool. The
cool.
main room.
Yep.
Main cathedral room. So, that's the lounge situation.
Yeah.
And I really like the view down this hallway, the way the colors interplay there.
Yeah.
That's aubergine and Mexico blue. Porsche.
Very nice.
And then
now, is that something that you wanted? So,
Porsche
for instance,
colors?
when you
you know who my decorator is, Musto? Trimble.
Sarah?
Trimble.
Is it Sarah?
Oh yeah, I went to her house in Palm Springs, and her and Webb Bland. I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. And then in here, we have the studio. I got the on-air light, which is functional. Always
Very
wanted
nice.
one of those. Jay, coming in.
So show everybody the backdrop of the studio because it's slick as hell.
Here's the studio.
Oh, I like the table.
We got Jay. Jay built the studio. And,
what's up, Jay?
And he's also he's a backup producer, but he's definitely not second best producer, but he's definitely, because Zach is at Pikes Peak right now.
Okay.
He's that's his podcast he's promoting on our big screen.
Oh, it's
very nice.
So the table is our new podcast table is a 5-inch thick live edge walnut with a resin like lakes and rivers.
Yep.
Yeah, I love watching those videos.
And then this beautiful this is called Kirai acoustic paneling, and my brother-in-law makes it. So Hannah's brother makes this stuff, and they do the paneling like this. It's made of all recycled plastic bottles. But they also do the laser cutting. So they laser cut that. So that's an acoustic panel that's a 996 GT3 gauge cluster. And then on this side, I didn't want it to be too Porsche, so we have the Ferrari H pattern shifter. And then the new podcast studio is entirely run on iPhones and an iPad Pro. So no more computers.
Wow, very slick.
It's awesome. We've got this great lighting in here, and we've got the big screen up there, so Zach or Jay can pull up something in there, and we can look at it, but without it necessarily going into the show. And then I have my show monitor right there, so I can side eye the show monitor while I'm interviewing guests across the way. That's pretty beast,
awesome.
Huh? We have really good internet in here. I think we could probably go into the cathedral room if we want.
Ooh, let's do that.
I mean, I think that one of the coolest things that people don't understand is it when you walk into the facility and you see the amount of work that's gone into it, both from an architectural standpoint and I want to say the security level. There you go. There it is.
Box body. And then let's see if I can make this happen. So we did the whole place. The elevator walls the whole way are Mexico blue on all 3 floors. So we have a column of Mexico blue. I'm sorry, I've never held my laptop like this and tried to show people anything.
Dude, it's not bad.
Fine.
I mean,
you're doing fine.
Yeah, it looks good.
We've got a Jaguar Cosworth V8 coffee table on there. Just
very nice. Cool.
GM Eric's desk over here. We got the logo on the floor, which I did.
Yep.
And then I think we're supposed to have full connectivity in this whole place. So let's go.
We're gonna find out.
So first,
the cathedral room. So behind me, there's the fire-rated wall. There's my office window.
Yep.
Up there. So 45-foot fire-rated wall.
The Taco Bell drive-through window.
and then you've got the 24-foot roll up that drops if there's a fire alarm. My cabinets. So, by the way, we have a privacy policy in place here.
Yeah.
But we're not open until September 1st, and our grand opening is Labor Day weekend. So any car you see in here, I have personally asked the owner if it is okay to show them the cars on camera, and they've said okay. So don't anyone on the internet, don't be like, Farah was talking about privacy, and then he was showing customer cars. Like, literally, if you moved in here before the open house, I cleared it personally. Okay, so don't freak out. So.
Well, that's another thing that we should talk about really quick, Matt, is so because you're going to have obviously a lot of individuals, whether it be celebrities or personalities or political, whatever the case is. So is that
no politicians?
No okay. Was that one of your main things in opening this was complete and utter privacy for your customers?
Was it a goal? Like, no, not from the beginning. That is one of those things that went from that I spun, and not to say that I would have necessarily been the opposite way if I didn't have to, but basically it comes down to the fact that we have almost no exterior parking. So I can't have events because I don't have a big parking lot, right? I don't have like 50 cars outside. Like, I'm going to show you. Look, it's me at 16, Mike.
I've seen that photo. Oh, yeah.
Look, here's how you know Sarah did my my decorating. Check out the cassette tapes on the wall in the bathrooms.
Dude, she's good.
Yeah, and we've got colored Sharpies so you can write in the names of your own mixtapes. Hopefully people don't abuse that. So
I love it.
This is the entirety of my parking lot. That's all of it right there. It's maybe 4 cars.
So what's out in the lot right now? Is that a Bentley?
No. It's Jay's 911. Jay's got a 997S.
Nice.
And so anyway, the point is, because I can't have events, I decided that we would make a policy that we wouldn't have events and that we wouldn't be open to the public. And so once we fill up, we'll revisit this privacy thing, because so far, honestly, no one really cares. like very few people actually care. And so it's the kind of thing that I don't want to make a big deal out of if nobody cares. If people care, if even one person cares, then I'll do it.
Let me ask you a question. So would Westside ever offer any type of
social membership? No,
not social membership, but like we used to do back. And for those people that don't know, if you've listened to Matt before, you've obviously heard about the New York Motor Club, which Matt and Larry Casilla created years and years ago back in New York, which literally started out of this tiny little detail garage.
It was pretty Grimes.
But it was
in hindsight.
But they and back then, and pardon me for saying this, there were these 2 kids that managed to harness some of the greatest cars in New York and put on these events. Would the storage would Westside ever do something like that?
Put on event,
or is put on like a driving event, or is that something, is the liability just something you would want to deal with?
I was so happy to be done with driving events.
You were? Okay.
Yeah. I don't want to organize driving events. I hate that job. I mean, it served its need at the time. Like, every time I did it, I held my breath and was like, this is the time I go to jail, and I don't want to. I just went on a driving event in July. Actually, I went on Adventure Drives, which is our friend Rob Ferretti's event. And it was a lot of fun. I drove a Lamborghini Urus 3,500 miles. I have a story coming out in Road and Track. I shot a lot of film. We had brought out the film camera. And it was really fun. I will go on certain types of organized drive. Typically my policy is I don't drive with other people. And you know why that is.
Yes.
And because every time I drive with other people, the cops show up. I can drive by myself for years and years and years and years and years and never have a problem with a cop. I start driving with 3 other people and there's the cops. Yeah. So, but this was a fun one. The Adventure Drive Pacific Northwest. It was nice, but man, it was crowded. Everybody had the same idea as we did. Go west.
Yeah.
Everybody was like, oh, RVs and national parks. It was like everybody's first time in an RV.
Right.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. So now that the garage, the storage facility is set up, you're up and running, right?
About to be. We're literally days away.
Well, Labor Day, right?
Yeah, basically.
Labor Day weekend?
Yeah, it's like we're going to be open on like Wednesday. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how has this, on a personal level, transformed the Matt Farah that could go out, shoot the smoking tire, do the podcast, and be all over the place at any given time, to the Matt Farah that now is a full-on business owner, brick and mortar facility? How is that adaptation going? As someone who has known you for years,
going so badly. It was hurry up and wait. I was so used to it from Hollywood, to the hurry up and wait,
right.
and I was told by some optimistic people, remember the Money Pit, Tom Hanks and Shelley Long, 2 weeks.
Sure.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Yeah.
Let me tell you something. I went back and watched that movie. That movie isn't funny anymore. that movie made me drink like a bottle of wine by myself and have
went from comedy to horror.
Have a little cry. I was like, I should have watched this shit before it started construction. No, actually, I think it'll be fine once the staff starts. The month it's been in between when the construction workers went home and the month of August has been professionally, mentally, physically, by far the hardest of my entire career, because I've had, because of COVID, bro.
Yeah.
All the cars I was supposed to be driving in March and April are now in August, all of them. So I literally right now have I have 2 press cars and a motorcycle right now. Like, what am I doing? And I have to be here in this shop for like 8 hours a day. And I drove this morning. This morning I got up at 6, went on a press launch with the Polestar 2, went home, worked out, came here, accepted a delivery of a vehicle, and then changed my shirt because I was very sweaty, and then I did this with you, and then after I hang up with you, I'm gonna clean up some things downstairs, and then I have my own podcast, and that's been like every day. It's like it's just I'm buying so much stuff for the shop on the internet, and people are just coming by. Like, someone like has to be here. So when Eric starts, my GM, and he's going to be open to close some days, and I'm going to be open to close some days. So at least those other days, I know that someone I can trust will be here. But this last month has been really hard, and you know me, I carry the weight of the world on my shoulders for stuff that's not that important, and so this is that, but I've never trained a staff before, and I've never had seriously, I've never had a payroll, a workers comp. I've never, you know what I mean? I've never been hit. Look at this. My construction workers go, here you go. We're going home now. Like, what the fuck do all these do? Like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I've never done any of this before. And I'm supposed to, and I wrote this. I wrote a 30-page operations manual. This is 13,000 words that I wrote. How to run a business that has never been open for a single day. Every second writing this was an anxiety attack. And I had to teach it to people like I was some kind of a college professor. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, every day is like almost 7 heart attacks, honestly.
Okay. So based on that,
you know how afraid I am of being bad at business, dude? I'm so afraid of being bad at business.
Well, I mean,
one of the only things I'm actually like really, truly afraid of. And partially because my father's so good at business, and I was like, oh, it's okay. I can be bad at business because I took another direction, and I'm good at talking about cars. Like, holy shit. Now I have to be good at business. Where was I the whole time? And it's not like my dad is like around and helpful, and we talk almost every day about this. And like,
Yeah,
it's parking cars. It's not curing cancer, but like, oh my God, I'm so afraid I'm going to be horrible at business. And it's like crushing. It's like,
dude, I haven't seen you
my
to
therapist
fail at
is money
anything
well
yet.
spent. Oh, well, yes, you have. You have definitely seen me fail.
But not the big things. I've seen you stumble. I've never seen you fail. There's a difference.
Yeah, you haven't seen me like colossally fail. No, you haven't.
Well,
I've been very fortunate that I have not had to colossally fail at anything. I have not had like a major super although no, remember when I was owed like $80,000 by we don't even want to say who, and I was bouncing at the bar that I was drinking at and had
that I remember.
Hose blood. That was probably that was a low point.
That was an interim moment.
And also a big fail, but it was a slow and knife twisting fail, not a giant crash and burn fail, was my decision to air over 200 episodes of the podcast on the main Smoking Tire channel and not start a separate channel from the beginning. And that really, really hurt the Smoking Tire channel professionally, which is that was a hard lesson to learn.
Well, dude, I'm not gonna lie.
Good now.
Your lead is something that we're following because we're going to have our separate video, like premium content channel for Hemmings, but then we are going to absolutely have our separate Hot Rod Barbecue podcast.
Yeah. No, you know why? Because you know what's really one of the very important metric is the percentage of the videos that you put out that your subscribers click on. So your subscribers click on you on your channel. They click subscribe. They click notify. To see this one thing, right? And it's very easy, as it turns out, for them to click subscribe on another channel if you just get the word out that you're doing another thing on the other channel. But if you start to say, okay, now I'm doing two things on one channel, and it turns out that even if you have a great click-through rate on the one thing and a not so great, it really does drag the entire thing down. And I believe that is a big reason why our subscribers really plateaued and have gone up from 900 to 1 million, and we've been surpassed by some other folks that didn't veer on their main channels. And like, it is what it is. It's not the end of the world, but yeah, sure. That's a career fail for you. That's a bad decision that went on for 2 years.
Well, I would say, okay, so maybe we'll call that a stumble, but the fact that you've built TST up to 1 million subscribers is pretty goddamn impressive. Like that's well, come on. There's Sure is, yes, I've got 30,000 subscribers. 1 million, that
no, look, dude, slow and steady, man. If you look at if you go look at the line, we're all it was 10% year over year for 10 years. Yeah. No big secret. Just keep it going. Keep making the videos. There was a lot of times where I had to supplement the Smoking Tire with other stuff, with drive, with writing, with other television projects.
All been there, bro.
Yeah. And so a lot of that covered up the fact that the Smoking Tire was not making a lot of money at certain times, and you had to supplement. So, you do the Hollywood hustle, and it's all good. And, And I'm also very privileged in a lot of ways. So I haven't overlooked that too. So, but anyway, what else you got? What else you want to talk about?
So let's talk about, obviously you've got my one of my poster cars as far as the Countach goes, right? Obviously
and I have a poster of it.
Is that Larry Chen shot that?
No, the Larry Chen one is outside. That is the Jeff Zwart 1987 Road and Track original poster signed by Jeff. That was the best-selling poster in Sam Ash stores in 1987.
Oh my God. And that's actually your car.
No, it's not, but it is the same color combination. It's not my car. That's the car that got beaten by the Yellowbird in that top speed test. That's what that photo is from. It's from that Road and Track test.
What did the Countach run in that test?
I want to say it was 187.
Gee, is it really that fast?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah. Countach? It'll do it. Yeah, Countach should do 180. Yeah, I mean, it's probably sketch. I don't want to do that. I'm not doing that shit. But it's probably, but it did it. Yeah, it did it. I don't.
All
I mean,
right.
don't hold me that number, but I believe it was in the high
Yeah.
180s. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
a fast car.
By
man.
87, this was and I believe that is a US spec car, but it would have had the 440 horsepower engine. So yeah, it probably
Okay.
did.
Well, that makes sense.
It was at
I
like
think so.
Nardo.
Okay.
Actually, if it was at Nardo, that might be a European car. If it was a European car and it was carbed, it had a little more horsepower, but still.
Okay.
I mean,
That's
it
still
was a 180,
booking.
180
Yeah.
something, or maybe I
Yeah.
don't know. Let me look up 1980.
In
It's
the
still
80s. That's
fast.
crazy.
Yeah.
It's still
Yeah,
fast.
it got smoked by the Yellowbird though.
Yeah. So, dude, all right? So now we've got we've got Westside, TST video series still going great, podcast kicking ass. Are you settling in right now to say, okay, I'm going to give my full-time attention to Westside right now. This is what I'm doing. Was this kind of your just because we're running out of time, we're coming up on an hour really quick.
Yeah.
Was this kind of your goal to say, I've always wanted to make something like this, and this is kind of where I want to be now?
I have always had the desire to build a place like this. I've always thought about it, and it always seemed especially pertinent in this area because the garages are really small and there's just not a lot of room, and so it seemed appropriate for this area, and more importantly, YouTube is it's a tough living. It's not, you're not breaking rocks or digging for diamonds or whatever, but it's gig. It's your last video is not going to make your next one for you. And yes, there is a tail. Yes, videos get watched later. Yes, videos are there forever, and in theory, you get paid forever. But YouTube is like having a boss that you really can't get fired, but you're also never going to get a raise. The only way you can make more money is by doing more work. And so, I'm certainly not lazy, but I chased volume by doing these one take things. At one point I was doing 4 videos a week for 2.5 to 3 years.
Yeah.
That is not sustainable by a person after a while. I ran out of cars, I ran out of energy, and it was just brutal. And so and I stopped, the videos stopped being interesting to make. And so I decided that it was time to try to find a way to refocus on how to drive less cars and extract more from each of them, and that meant either writing or photography, but also something that was a little more stable, that would allow me steady income so that I could do the stories and videos I wanted to do, and not just do another thing because I needed to pay the mortgage that month. And so this place, and hopefully maybe others as well, are designed to generate some fairly low resistance income that is not gig based.
Gotcha.
And so that, and also, by the way, service my own needs as a car collector, as well as I've wanted to have a real studio for a really long time. I care about having a real studio much more than I care about having an office. If I had to choose one or the other, I would have worked in the lobby and had the studio. And so after 10 years of doing a podcast, it's really nice to be doing the podcast in a studio that I don't have to apologize for. At the beginning of the podcast, when we left the house and went to our old studio, at first, of course, it's in your living room because everyone's podcast is in your living room. And then,
Dan is in his garage right now, and I'm in my upstairs office.
So for a while, just being out of somewhere that wasn't your house was really a nice, thing. But after a while,
turn into my living room. You never know.
Well, you got Dan's got a really nice backdrop. I mean, the 32 it's cool. Is that a 32?
No, it's 28.
Oh, sorry, I don't know.
Yeah, and I got foam board from Mike.
Oh, that's a 30. That's a 30-31. Yeah,
I gotta get
He's got
Mike
foam
some.
core.
I gotta get Mike some Curai, some of the acoustic panels from my brother.
Oh, dude, you ready? You ready? I'm gonna let everybody in a little secret here. Watch this. Ready?
Yeah, looking good.
That's styling right there.
Yeah, but we've got some more ideas for some more businesses or some more locations, and different stuff we'd like to do.
Matt, the trick is going to be you're going to have a big red F on every building.
That's
now you set the precedent. You're going to have to do it.
Yeah. I don't mind the big red F. It's not there unless you have to look for it.
Yeah.
If you look for it, it's there. Although it's really weird. Like Uber Eats and stuff has had a really hard time finding our driveway. So I'm not really sure. They come and they're all the way around the corner. I'm like, what is going on? The address is on the place.
Do you know how much I paid for this street?
I don't know what's so
so
difficult about it.
Let him make a couple rounds. I mean, you paid for it.
Yeah.
Earn it.
Yeah.
But
Matt,
I appreciate you guys letting me shamelessly hawk the spot. That's
dude, listen, like I said, I think it's one of the few places that I've been where, listen, I want to keep a car. Don't be surprised if you get a call from me and the Daytona shows up at Westside and you're like, Matt, can I keep this here? Because
you can. We're not sold out yet.
That's it. I wouldn't mind having a car in LA.
I will tell you, as a guy who is into the stuff behind me here, I'm glad to see the full trays because I leak shit everywhere. So I just want to get that, this thing. I got more transmission fluid on the floor behind me here.
So Matt,
we have a big pile of those drip trays. I just got them on a pallet yesterday.
Yeah.
It's actually they were really hard to get. I had to get them from AutoZone or something, and I was like, I want 40, and they're like, we have 12, and I'm like, we're AutoZone. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Get me 40. And
call corporate. Call corporate.
We only have 12. I was like, just give me the 12.
You know why? Because that just means you have a bunch of hot rodders living around you. That's all that means.
I guess. Yeah, there's a lot of leaky cars around.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right. I probably know all of the guys who have the rest of the 38, drip trays that you don't have.
Fortunately, we only need them for the cars on the floor, and the trays themselves are drip trays, kind of when the cars are in the air. But hey, I was looking it up in the background, by the way. Now 179 was the Countach in B7.
179.
Nice.
Okay. So we're online, obviously. YouTube /TST. Where can everybody find Farah everything?
TST. It's the smoking tire. All of it is the smoking tire written out. It's not TST.
Okay.
It's the smoking tire.
For the garage, where do people go?
I went for broke. I bought a real nice domain name, wccs.com. 4 letters, very easy to remember, extremely premium domain name, wccs.com.
Matt, thank you so much for coming on, brother. It is always great to hang.
Thank you. It was a pleasure doing it. I hope you guys keep your garage floors clean.
Cool. Too late for that.
All right, buddy. I'll talk to you real soon.
Bye.
Thanks, Matt.
Yeah.